Hi girls, in this video I am going to explain the concept of constructors in C++. Let's go into the topic. First, what is called the constructor? A constructor is a special member function whose task is to initialize the object of its classes. So constructor is a special member function whose task is to initialize the object of its classes. It is special because its name is same as the class name. The constructor is invoked whenever an object of its associated class is created. It is called the constructor because it constructs the values of data members of the class. So the definition of the constructor is the class constructor is a special member function of a class that is executed whenever we create new object of that class. Unlike normal functions, constructors have special rules for how they be named. Constructor should always have the same name as the class name. This is one of the most important thing. You people keep it in mind that the constructor should always have the same name as the class name with the same capitalization. Constructor have no return type. That means it does not even have a void as a return type. So these two are most important thing between the member functions and the constructor. The first one is the constructor should always have the same name as the class name. The second one, constructor have no return type, not even void. A constructor takes no parameters or has all optional parameters is called the default constructor. So once again I give the definition for what is constructor. Member functions can be used to give values to the data items in an object. In my previous classes I explained you the basic concept of the classes and object. Under the example programs you people seen that member functions are used to give values to the data items in an object. Sometimes, however, it is convenient if an object can initialize itself when it's first created without requiring a separate call to a member function. So just once again I repeat this. The main use of the constructor is it is convenient if an object can initialize itself. Object can initialize itself when it's first created without requiring a separate call to the member function. A type of member function that is automatically executed when an object of the class is created is known as constructor. So this is the most important thing. A type of member function. Constructor is also a type of member function like a member function, but member functions are invoked by using the object, but here the constructor are invoked while the object is created. A type of member function that is automatically executed when an object of that class is created is known as constructor. The two main important concepts in constructor is it does not have any return type, not even void, and then the most important thing is the class name is also same as the constructor name. The constructor can work as normal function, but it can't return any value. It is normally defined in classes to initialize data members. It constructs the object, therefore it is called constructor. The special characteristics of the constructors are given here. The first one is these are all called automatically when objects are created. In my previous example, I shown you the programs that the member functions are called using the object of the class after the class is defined, and then you define the object. By using that object, you have to call the member functions in the C++ programs. But while using the constructor, these are all called automatically when the object are created. All the object of the class having a constructor are initialized before some use. They should be declared in the public section for availability to all the functions. So this is also one of the special characteristics of constructors because the constructors are declared in the public section for availability to all the functions. Constructor has no return type, even void. They cannot be inherited. These cannot be static. Constructor cannot be inherited. Like that, it cannot be a static function. Default and copy constructor are generated by the compiler whenever required. Generated constructors or public. Constructor can have default arguments as other C++ functions. So these are all some special characteristics of the constructor. So this is the example of the constructor. Here you can see the class name is defined as cube. Within the class, in the public section, the variable is declared in the data type integer. The variable name is site. Again, within the public specifier, this is the called constructor because the class name is same as this function name. So this function is called the constructor. It does not have any return type. So there is no need to give any return type before this constructor name. So within that constructor, the value 10 is assigned to the variable site. After the declaration of the class, come to the main function. Within the main function, the object is created for the class cube. The object name is C. Here, within the cout statement, you can see here the member function cube is not called here. Defaultly, when the object C is created to the class cube, the value 10 is assigned to the variable site. Okay, because the class name is same as the member function name, that is called the constructor. It does not have any return type. So here, for this class cube, the object C is created. When the object is created, it is automatically called this constructor and it assigns the value 10 to the site. Here, then the next statement here is the output statement. When it comes to the output statement, here C.site is displayed here because the object name is C. Site is a variable name. The value 10 is displayed for this program. Okay, so this is called the constructor. The constructor is a special member function. Why this is a special member function means it does not have any return type. And then the most important thing here is constructor name is same as the class name. It does not, the member function does not called by the object. When the object is created, while the object is created for that class, it is automatically called that constructor. Within that constructor, what the statements are given are automatically executed. Okay, so this is the example of the constructor. In C++, there are three types of constructor. The first one is the default, second is the parameterized, and third one is the copy constructor. So first, I am going to explain what is the parameterized constructor. In default constructor, every object are initialized with the same values, but in many cases, it may be necessary to initialize the various data elements of different objects with different values when they are permit us to achieve this objective by passing argument to the constructor function. When the objects are created, the constructor that can take argument are called parameterized constructor. When the objects are created for that class, the constructor that can take arguments are called parameterized constructor. Here, this is the class name is the integer. Two variables are declared in the private specifier. Here, this is within the public section. Now, once again, I repeat the concept of constructor. Constructor is a special member function. Nothing. It's a special member function. What's special here is the constructor name is same as the class name. It does not have return type, but this constructor should be declared in the public section only of the public specifier in the class. Okay. So here you can see this constructor declared in the public specifier. Constructor name is same as the class name. It does not have any return type. Here the parameters are used. The first parameter is x, the second parameter is y. Both parameters are in the type of integer. This is called the parameterized constructor. When the objects are created, the constructors that take arguments are called parameterized constructor. When a constructor has been parameterized, the object of the declaration statement as here the class name is the integer. The object is created to this integer class is int1. Here the values are passed to the constructor by using this parameters. Here integer is the class name, int1 is the object name, is equal to integer of the two parameters. So this statement creates an integer object, integer int1, and passes the values 0 and 100 to it. The value of x is 0, the value of y is 100 now after this execution of this statement. So again, the C++ parameterized constructor, a constructor that receives arguments or parameters is called the parameterized constructor. Construct with parameter is called parameterized constructor. All constructor executed as the time of object creation. When we will create parameterized constructor, this we have to pass argument values at the time of object creation of that class. Here this is also some examples of the parameterized constructor. Here the class name is the cube. Within the public, the variable side is declared in the data type integer. Again, this is the constructor, the special member function. It should be same as the class name. It does not have any return type, and it should be declared within the public specifier. Here the cube is the class name, and also this is called the constructor. Within the constructor, the parameter x is passed here. Here for the same class, 3 objects are created. For the first object, the parameter is 10. For the second object, the parameter is 20. For the third object, the parameter is 30. While this object is created for C1 is the object created with the class cube. When the object is created, the constructor is automatically called. The value of 10 is passed to this x, and the value of x is assigned to the side variable. Like that, when the C2 object is created, the value 20 is automatically passed to the value of x, and it is stored in the variable side. Like that, when the object C3 is created, once again the third time the constructor is called, and the value 10 is initialized to the variable side. So after this 3 objects are created, C1, C2, C3. Here in the output statement, C1.side display the value 10, C2.side display the value 20, and C3.side display the value of 30. So this is called the parameterized constructor. And then the multiple constructor in a class. C++ compiler has an implicit constructor which create objects even though it was not defined in the class. This works well as long as we do not use any other constructor in the class. However, once we define a constructor, we must also define that do nothing implicit constructor. So here the multiple constructor in classes are here. The first constructor is add of. Within that, the value 0 is assigned to both the variable m and n. So the first constructor receives no arguments. For the second constructor, the argument are given. So this is called the parameterized constructor, second constructor. The constructor name is again the same, add, but the parameter here is 2 parameters are passed. First one is the a and second one the b. So the second constructor receives 2 integer arguments, and then the third one is the third constructor receives 1 add object as an argument. Here object is received in the constructor. So this is an again example with the value. When the class is declared and the object is created, the first one is there is no values are passed. Second one, 2 values are passed here. Here you can see add is the class name, A2 is the object name, 10 and 20 are the parameters passed to that variables A and B. Default constructor. A default constructor is a constructor that either has no parameters, or if it has parameter, all the parameters have default values. If there is no constructor in a class, compiler automatically creates a default constructor. Here this is the default constructor. And then what is copy constructor? A copy constructor is a special constructor for a class or structure that is used to make a copy of an existing instance during initialization. So once again I repeat this, a copy constructor is a special constructor for a class or structure that is used to make a copy of an existing instance during initialization. It must have one of the following form. Either this type it could be declared. There will be times when you want to initiate a new object based on existing object. C++ uses a copy constructor to exactly copy each of the first object data members into the second object data members in an operation known as member-wise copying. A copy constructor is a special constructor that is called when a new object is initiated from an old object. So I will give you the example of this copy constructor in my next class. Thank you, girls.